Alright, so this is my week 17 NBA Power Rankings. Let's get started. Starting off with our injuries, you guys can look at this yourself. There's a lot of guys that are going to be injured through the All-Star break and then hopefully be healthy. But yeah, moving on from that, we have our top performances. So again, you guys can look at this yourself. I just wanted to mention that Shai dropped another 50-point game, so he's been absolutely balling as of late. But then moving on from there, we got the Pelicans at 30. I'll get over here a little bit. So yeah, we got the New Orleans Pelicans at 30. They lost all 3 games this week. They're on a 9-game losing streak. Things are not looking very good for the Pelicans right now. Moving on from that, we got the Washington Wizards at number 29. Went 1-3 this week, so they're going to drop one spot here. Still not a very good, not a very good week for the Wizards. This week they played the Cavs, Hawks, and Spurs, who they all lost, and they beat the Brooklyn Nets. Next up is the Charlotte Hornets. I'm at 28. They went 1-3 this week as well, but they're actually going to move up 2 spots. They beat the Spurs, lost to the Bucks, Pistons, and the Nets, and they also signed Elfrid Payton. 27 is the Utah Jazz. They're going to stay the same. They went 1-3, sitting at 12 and 40. They beat the Warriors, but then they lost to the Suns, the Clippers, and the Lakers, who are all pretty solid teams. Number 26 is the Chicago Bulls. They went 1-2 this week. They beat the Heat. They lost to the Timberwolves and the Warriors. Number 25 is going to be the Brooklyn Nets. They went 3-1 this week, a really good week, but I couldn't move them up because there's just kind of a big gap between the next teams that were ahead of them. They did beat the Rockets, the Heat, and the Hornets, and they lost to the Washington Wizards. Also, they cut Simmons this week. Moving from that, you got the Toronto Raptors. They're going to drop 4 spots. They went 0-4 this week. They were doing pretty good last couple of weeks. This week, not so much. So they do find themselves dropping down quite a bit. They lost to the Knicks, the Grizzlies, the Thunder, and the Rockets. So they did play 4 pretty good teams, but ended up losing all of them, so they dropped a few spots. Number 23, Philadelphia 76ers will drop 2 spots after having a 1-3 week of their own. They beat the Mavs, then lost to the Heat, the Pistons, and the Bucks. They did get Joel Embiid back from injury, and they signed a couple of different free agents, Chuma Okeke and David Roddy. So, that's information, I guess. I'm not sure how much those guys are really going to help this roster. Number 22, Orlando Magic. They went 2-2 this week, 26 and 29 overall. They're still doing really good, as far as play-in goes for them, but you'd still like them to be a little bit better than they are right now. But this week they beat the Kings and the Spurs, and they lost to the Nuggets and the Hawks. 21 is the Portland Trail Blazers. They had been doing pretty solid this week, almost 2-2, so they do drop 2 spots, but before this week they were doing really good. Beat the Pacers and Kings, and then lost to the Timberwolves and the Nuggets by about 30 points. Next up is the Atlanta Hawks. They're going to jump up 4 spots. They had a 3-1 week this week, pretty good there for Atlanta. They beat the Bucks, Wizards, and Magic, and lost to the Spurs by only 1 point. Next up at 19 is the Miami Heat. They dropped 1 spot, sitting at 25 and 26, just under 500. They're a 1-3 week, so obviously not ideal. Of course, they made that Jimmy Butler trade this week, but I'm not going to talk too much about the trades because I already made a separate video talking about all the trades themselves. But for the Heat this week, they lost to the Bulls, Nets, and Celtics, and they beat the Philadelphia 76ers. At number 18 is going to be the Detroit Pistons. They're going to jump up 4 spots, had a 2-1 week here. A pretty solid week. They lost to the Cavs by only 3 points, and they beat the Sixers and the Hornets. Number 7, Dallas Mavericks. They had a 2-2 week and have a bunch of injuries to worry about, but they beat the Celtics and Rockets, lost to the Sixers and the Kings, but then Anthony Davis is injured, Daniel Gafford's injured, and Caleb Martin is injured. Number 16 is the Phoenix Suns, but they're going to drop 3 spots after had a 1-2 week. Not ideal here for the Suns. They lost to the Thunder by about 30, lost to the Nuggets, and then beat the Jazz in overtime. And 15, Sacramento Kings jump up one spot, had a 2-2 week, so decent week for them. They lost to the Magic and Blazers, but then beat the Pelicans and beat the Dallas Mavericks in overtime. Number 14, Los Angeles Clippers. They're going to drop 3 spots, had a 1-2 week. 29-23 is a pretty solid overall record, but this week not great for them. Lost to the Lakers by 25, lost to the Pacers, and their only win was against the Jazz. They also did sign Ben Simmons, but I don't think he's going to play till after the All-Star break. Number 13, Indiana Pacers. They're going to drop 4 spots. Had a 1-2 week for them, not ideal. Obviously, lost to the Blazers and the Lakers, and they did beat the Los Angeles Clippers. As well as signed Jahlil Okafor for another backup center for this roster. Number 12, Milwaukee Bucks. They're going to jump up 2 spots at a 2-2 week. Again, made the Chris Middleton trade, so that's something. They beat the Hornets and the Sixers and lost to the Hawks and the Golden State Warriors. Number 11 is going to be the San Antonio Spurs. So I moved them up quite a bit of spots last week because of the De'Aaron Fox trade. They didn't do great this week, only a 2-2 record, but still decent enough. They are sitting at like the 12 seed right now, so their record doesn't really match up with their rankings, but because they got De'Aaron Fox, I think they're going to have a good back half of this season and end up being one of the better teams. But this week for the Spurs, they beat the Hawks and the Wizards, and they lost to the Hornets and Magic by 1 point each. So a lot of close games here for the Spurs. Number 10, Golden State Warriors. They're going to jump up 5 spots at a 2-2 week by the Jimmy Butler trade, obviously. So I think that was a solid move for them. They lost to the Jazz by 3, the Lakers by 8, and then beat the Bulls by 20 and the Bucks by about 15. Number 9, Minnesota Timberwolves jump up 1 spot after having a 3-1 week. Decent for them. Beat the Bulls, Rockets, and Blazers. Their only loss was against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Number 8 is the Houston Rockets. They're going to drop 3 spots. They were number 5, and then they went 1-3 this week, so not great here for Houston. They lost to the Nets by 2. They lost to the Timberwolves and the Mavericks, and their only win was against the Toronto Raptors. Number 7 is the New York Knicks. They're going to drop 4 spots after a 1-1 week. So again, 1-1 isn't horrible. Their only loss was against the Celtics, but just because of the way things had to fall around them, they do drop 4 spots. They did beat the Toronto Raptors this week as well. Number 6 is the Memphis Grizzlies. They're going to drop 5 spots after having a 1-1 week of their own. They were number 1 in the league last week after 2 wins against the Rockets, but now they're going to drop 5 spots. They did beat the Toronto Raptors, but they lost to the Oklahoma City Thunder this week. Number 5 is going to be Boston Celtics. At a 3-1 week, pretty good, sitting at 38-16. They beat the Cavs, the Knicks, and the Heat. They lost to the Dallas Mavericks. They also signed Torrey Craig. Number 4, Denver Nuggets. They went 4-0 this week, have now won 7 straight games. Again, this is before Tuesday night's games. So if something else changed there, too bad. I don't have those in the accounted in these rankings, but they do jump up 4 spots here, beat the Pelicans, Magic, Suns, and Trailblazers. Number 3 is going to be the Los Angeles Lakers. They also went 4-0 this week, have won 6 straight games, sitting at 32-19. And of course, they got Luka Doncic now on this roster as well. They beat the Clippers, the Warriors, the Pacers, and the Jazz this week. Also signed Jordan Goodwin, who's been pretty good in a couple of games for them, and signed Alex Len to be their backup center after they cut Christian Wood. Number 2 is going to be the Cleveland Cavaliers. They had a 3-1 week. Their only loss was against the Celtics. They'll have the second best record in the league. Beat the Pistons, Wizards, and Timberwolves, so I don't really think they should drop any spots just because the way things were also falling around them. And number 1 is going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder. They're jumping up 3 spots all the way back to number 1, sitting at a 4-0 record this week, 43-9 overall, best record in the NBA. They beat the Suns, Raptors, Grizzlies, and Pelicans this week. But moving on from there. Okay, sorry. Moving on from there, our works. I'll get out of the way up here. The leaders in all of these right now, I got Shea is the leading MVP, Cade Cunningham is the leading most improved player, Nikola Jokic is the leading clutch player of the year, Stephen Castle is now leading Rookie of the Year. Peyton Pritchard is leading Sixth Man of the Year. Kenny Atkinson is leading Coach of the Year. And Victor Wembanyama is leading Defensive Player of the Year. But that's going to be all I have for you. Thank you for watching. I will not have a power ranking video next week because the NBA All-Star break's happening. So we're going to kind of combine 2 weeks into one as far as power rankings go. But that's going to be it for the video. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.